Welcome back, everybody. This is BNSFRAILNUT making a video here for you guys, a newest update. It's, I want to say, just a few days into December here. I was going to try to get that video right of our flea market, but I've been kind of busy here lately and haven't had that opportunity here, so we will make this video as well. Being that it is into December, we have actually passed our 1-year anniversary as far as when we physically started building the benchwork. The club has been together longer than that, but we started building this layout that you're looking at on November 30th of last year. So we've actually come to a 1-year anniversary, and we'll take a walk around and show you what we've accomplished. So if you've seen the previous videos, this is the Staples yard. We also have the staging below. And I can also say that every single track that was designed to be in this phase, this is called phase 1, has been laid now. So everything is down, everything is operational, and this is the point we're looking at. So what you see here with the backdrops is you have the red rosin paper up here, which is the sub kind of scenery. Gives you the undulations of the land and the layout. And then what we do with that is we just lay paper towels with the plaster in it right on top of the rosin paper, and then that becomes our plaster cloth base. And then from that, we were just kind of farting around just the morning of the actual swap meet and flea market we had. We just painted this so everything wasn't just ridiculously white. So you could technically go right off that and start putting your trees in, but we'll put more of a defined landscape in once we get going down that road. But the layout really hasn't changed, other than cars have come off for more work to be done. But this is what it pretty much looked like when we had the flea market and open house. So coming down into Rush City here, kind of a little scale mock-up of a grain mill that's going to be here. This will actually be a much larger facility and a lot of indoor tracks. So coming around in here, you can actually see a lot of the rock work that was actually, this is just again on top of that paper cloth. The paper towels, you can actually see the paper towel right there. But that's there. So we're coming into St. Cloud. Coming into the big trestle bridge, which has been removed for work starting on the pier bases. So they're working on that. We got the waterfall, the secondary part coming underneath that bridge. And so that has been removed. So we'll move along here. Metro Rock Tunnel. And this, that's the Hinckley sub below. But now St. Cloud, like I said, all the track has been laid in there. And then in addition to, they also put down a St. Cloud interchange yard, or basically just a yard to hold the cars, because we found out there's a lot of traffic in St. Cloud. So needed a little place to make it a little bit easier for the operators. So otherwise it was just really tough. They have a 50-car train blocking the main line. So put the yard in. Back here we have the St. Cloud cutoff. That line continues down into Staples staging, which that tunnel entrance is in that general area. You can see the tracks there. So that track comes up to here, and the Hinckley sub is down below. Can't really see it that well, but it's down there. So we have St. Cloud here again with the scenery just kind of put in there roughly. So the people that did come to see the layout, and if you did actually show up and you're watching this video, thank you for showing up. We had a big success and turnout, so thanks to everyone that did kind of show up and take a look at this thing. So moving on with the paper, coming back into Becker. And then with Becker, this is kind of one of the newest additions we have. I did touch on this is the 2nd Street staging yard. So we open this swing bridge, that locks into place. And you have this track coming out. And what this will eventually be is, this is the 2nd Street kind of yard for right now, but we'll be doing the west side of the Mississippi River from kind of Humboldt Yard, I believe it is, down to the Star Tribune, which is downtown Minneapolis. So the whole west side of the river is going to be modeled here. So what they've done so far is just kind of built up a mock staging yard to hold the trains for running operations and stuff. And then these two tracks that curve around are more or less just kind of a staging tracks to pull your equipment out of the cabinets, put it on the tracks, run around, come back, take it off, and you're done. This upper level here, you can see the fascia from the top, but the upper level is going to eventually be the Monticello sub, the Burlington Northern, which heads out west by northwest out of the cities. So the bench work has been done and just kind of awaiting future dates. One of our members had a little fun just kind of making something get your train up to the upper level. So he actually built the switchback, and it looks pretty darn good for just being temporary, but this will at a later date be removed, and then we'll build the helixes and the further track connections back down the layout. So most of these tracks on the bottom are just kind of staging tracks, so it's nothing really set in stone. This will be played with and we can kind of move it, but you can get from the lower level just gradually doing the switchbacks underneath there. You can see them all. You gotta have a pretty darn short train to get up here, but it is possible. So moving on from that, coming back over from Becker, and you got the Hinckley sub on the lower level, coming into Cambridge on the lower side. And these buildings were more or less for the open house, just to kind of let the kids look at something rather than the red rosin paper and the white plaster. So a lot of these buildings were just either members' buildings that they're not using right now, or just some stuff that we've gotten in the past, or donations or stuff like that. So put them on here and kind of went that way. You will also see a couple extra switches like this laying around if you can catch them on the video, but those are actually going to be laid in somewhere. I believe the switch point will be right there. We determined that we needed to put the crossover in there, so they're all ready to get cut in. You have a big lake on the upper level, coming into the North Star terminal. That's full of a lot of passenger service. In the foreground you got the Staples sub on the upper tracks, the Hinckley sub on the lower, and we're coming into Anoka and Coon Rapids. A little scrap mill in the back. And then you have your Coon Rapids and North Star station. Some of the signal bridges which will be needed for that. And on the upper level we also have ILS, which is Independent Locomotive Services. They're up in Bethel. I think their reporting markings are ILSX. So some of the stuff you've maybe seen an engine in your neck of the woods, but with those reporting markings, well, that's where their plant looks like up in Bethel. Cardboard, it's great, isn't it? Looks like that in real life too. So we're coming into the creek. On the upper level you have kind of Bethel, Oak Grove, and then lower levels Coon Rapids, and then this is finally the Coon Creek Junction. And we're figuring out where our roads need to be. So coming through Coon Creek, like I said, all the businesses, or at least the track is in, so everything you can have cars spotted. And then crossing the temporary junction into Saunders. And this is going to be the most scenic portion of the layout as of yet. So in the foreground, we're going to actually have a big huge quarry go all the way down to the floor. So it's just kind of a little pink foam mock-up of the drop down to the quarry for the quarry road. And then, so that'll actually be, like I said, right down to the actual floor. So it'll be pretty neat once it's all done, and that leads into the big gorge, the Kettle River Bridge. And again, I mean, who would have thought all these buildings that we have in real life are made out of cardboard like this, so I mean that thing's ready to rock and roll. It's done. A lot of the rock work has still just been untouched, but more or less just kind of seeing what it's going to look like on there so we can visualize it and plan around it or make adjustments. And then coming back pretty much as we cross these tracks, coming back into Brainerd. And this is the Brainerd power, the paper mill. So this has all been track laid and finished. And then street running scene in the foreground, the continuous loop track. So this allows us to run a continuous loop right now. And then you have your staple sub right there, and then the Hinkley sub in the background. Hinkley sub drops underneath, staples in the foreground, connects up with the reverse loop, and then we enter into the Brainerd yard. And so you got your Brainerd yard here with industries and plywood all laid out. And then these little blue windows actually back over here are more or less visually just verifying the switch underneath. So that's the return loops and the staging. So otherwise you got to crawl under everything to see which way the switch is thrown, and that's a pain in the butt. So but we're coming back into staples on the east end, I believe. So you can take a long shot of the yard. And then those tracks actually jut out like that, so you have the passenger terminal right up in there, somewhere in that range. A couple industries in the foreground, and then the yard lead tracks over here, which will eventually lead to the turntable and roundhouse, and then the car shops and engine shops back there. So we've come back full circle. Like I showed here before, yards underneath. There's a second staging yard. I don't know if you can see it or make it out, but you can see a container off there somewhere. So that's the hidden staging. I know I haven't gone too much into the electronics of this, but I do promise you I will be making more videos on them, just to kind of show you what a couple of the members are doing here as far as in the electronics division. I'm not in that thing because I'm not that smart, but it's all nice and organized looking, and they're labeling everything nice and neat, which makes troubleshooting a lot easier. So we haven't had any major issues that have crippled the layout, so it's kind of nice when you have wiring and stuff like that to go off of. And of course all the wiring above, I mean, it's a mess, but it's routed properly, it's color coordinated, and it works. I'll take you to one other kind of electronics thing that's been installed recently. Sorry about the brisk pace. But coming on over here, more stuff has been added in. I couldn't tell you what it is other than it's just a lot of wires. Blinking, flashing lights, stuff like that, you know. It looks pretty neat. But again, it's just nice, clean, nice to look at. So, labeled well. So that's, if you plan on building the layout, strive for something like that to make it just that much easier. So as long as you know, I mean, it's good if you know, but if others can figure out, it's a lot better. So what we'll do is we'll run with that as far as a update for the layout here. And a little shot into the workroom with all the stuff we have in there, and kind of an overview. So with that, thanks for watching this video here. I know it was a lengthy one, but we will catch you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.